Chiyomo Afurakani Afuraitkaitnit Ineye NOKWAREFO Da Medinde Odwirafo Kwesi Ra Nehempata Akan Apamumai Maruka Etipimu Odwirafo. That means greetings to all Afurakani Afuraitkaitnit African or black people. Today is NOKWAREFO Day. My name is Odwirafo Kwesi Ra Nehempata Akan, Odwirafo of the Akwamu Nation in North America. Today we want to go over the orientation for our NOKWAREFO or distributor program for our publications. Odwirafo.com is our official website, and on the website we have all of our publications and services. We have about 12 books to date that we have published. We have over 60 research articles that we've published. We have about 9.5 hours of audio going into detail about various subject matter. And then we also have about 44 videos. Collectively, that's about 60 plus hours of instructional information. The videos are based on our publications. So we have publications and we have videos where we dissect the information in the publications. All of the publications, the PDF versions of the publications, are free downloads from our website. All of the videos, audio, and of course the written publications, they're all free downloads. Recently what we have done is we have released 7 of the publications in softcover, and now we offer the softcover versions of publications as well. We do sell the softcover versions. We print our books in color on our own printers in-house, and therefore we sell the publications on the website. So people have the option of downloading the free PDF versions and studying those, or you can also purchase the softcover versions. We also, of course, people can make donations with regard to the PDF versions, but we want to make the PDF versions of all of our work, all of our publications, available for free for Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people, African people, black people, worldwide to access, whether they have the funds or not. We don't want to keep our information held ransom because people do not have funds. We have the capacity through the Anidaho, which is the spider's web, the World Wide Web, to make our information accessible, available to all of our people wherever they are in the world. So we need to use that platform in order to do so. But some people do prefer softcover versions of text. They also would like to distribute the text to friends, family, co-workers, other people who they just come in contact with, and they would like people they service, clients, consumers, whoever it is. They would like to get that information out, show people what's going on, teach people about the culture, get people reacclimated to ancestral culture, get back to themselves, knowledge of who they are, what their function in the world is, and so forth. So we're making these publications available in softcover. So far we have 7, and we will be releasing more in the coming weeks. New publications, as well as some of the other publications that we haven't made in softcover yet. So on a regular basis, you will continue to check the website, and you will be able to, you'll see that we have added new publications on a regular basis. Basically, what the program deals with, the NOKWAREFO program deals with this orientation, is you purchase, those who become distributors, NOKWAREFO, you purchase the softcover versions from us wholesale, and then of course you can sell them retail. We have a document where we show that the breakdown of the various prices. We offer a 30% off discount for distributors, and then of course you sell them retail 100%. The minimum order is 10 books. So that's the minimum for any distributor, at least 10. You don't have to get 10 of the same book. Out of the 7 different titles, you can mix the titles however you want to, but the minimum order is 10 books. Also, with regard to shipping, we split the shipping cost with you. The first 10 books is $3, and then 30 cents per book after for each additional book with regard to shipping. All of this is in the NOKWAREFO distributor information document that we have published, and we have updated that document as well, so always check back with us. And when you email us, we can send you any updated information, but the NOKWAREFO distributor information document, PDF document, is on the website. So 10 book minimum, $3 for the first 10 books, shipping, 30 cents per book, per additional book after the first 10. Okay, so what you're doing is you're self-employed. You will be an entrepreneur. This is a means by which you can generate additional income. For some people who are unemployed, this is a means by which they can work it full time and become, fully employed on their own. You would not be a representative of Akwamo Mine, Amaruka Atifi Mu, or Odwirafo.com. You would simply be a vendor, just like any other vendor who purchases products wholesale and sells them on their own and has their own business. You would be doing the same thing. So you wouldn't represent us, you would be representing yourself. You would be self-made, independent contractor, but you wouldn't be even contracting with us. You'd be your own independent entity. So that's the breakdown with regard to the mechanics of the business aspect, and of course all of that is broken down on the document, and then when you contact us we can give you some additional information. The only second part of it is, in the document you see we have a section called anidaho and NOKWAREFO. For our distributors, for those who will become distributors, we have a requirement that people become familiar with the text, of course, that they're going to be distributing. You must embrace the ideals that are represented in the text. If you don't embrace those ideals, of course, it doesn't make sense to sell that. So we go through some information, and we have a basic orientation type program where you study the information, you study the various texts. You must read the text at least once. You don't have to memorize the information. It is a great deal of information. We just want the distributors to become aware of the information, familiar with the information, so when they distribute the information to the Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit community, they will have some knowledge of what they're distributing and the value of the information that's found in the text. Anidaho in the Akan language means awareness. In fact, Eni means I, Da means to lie, and Ho means self. So anidaho means the I lies upon the self, or the I looks upon the self. That means awareness. Literally, you're looking upon yourself, you're becoming aware. So we want all of our distributors to be aware of the value of the information in the text that they're selling to Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people, the value to yourself, the value to the community. Also, NOKWAREFO, the root is NOKWARE, another Akan term. NOKWARE means truth. So NOKWAREFO are those group of people, fo, who uphold truth and dispense truth, NOKWARE. So to become NOKWAREFO, that's just our title for our distributors. We use that title because what you will be doing is upholding truth and dispensing truth. In order to be authorized as a NOKWAREFO, you must read the text that you will be distributing, these 7 texts at least once. We also have videos associated with each text. So let me show you the 7 texts that we have. The first text is the Kukutuntun, the ancestral jurisdiction. So in the Kukutuntun, we talk about the nature and of creation, the cosmological foundation of creation. We talk about Amen and Amenet, Ra and Ra'et, Ka and Ka'et, the creation of the world, the created universe, the origin of the term Afuraka, Afuraitkaitnit, the Ka, land of Afura, the creator, and the Ka'et, the land of Afurait, the creatress. Our nature is Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, or African people, as children of the creator and creatress. The nature of our relationship with plant life, animal life, mineral life, and Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, human life. Our relationship and recognition of spirits of disorder, the whites and their offspring, and while we have no relationship with these spirits of disorder, and how our culture and our nature is that of divine order. So we go into detail about that, but then we also go into detail about the origin of the various fictional characters of the Bible, Quran, and Talmud, including Jesus, Abraham, Muhammad, Moses, Aaron, David, Solomon, Sheba, Menelik, Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Judah, and so forth. All these various characters are absolutely fictional. They didn't exist of any race whatsoever. They are perversions of fragments of names and functions of deities from ancient Kemet that the whites and their offspring took, manufactured these corrupted titles, added them to fictional white characters who never existed, and then presented these fictional characters to us as real prophets or deities, and attempted to force us to embrace these characters. That not only includes the Bible and the Quran, but also Buddha, Brahman, and so forth. So we go into detail to show how these characters were manufactured. They were not black, they were not white, they did not exist at all. So we show how they were manufactured, we show the actual divinities whose names and descriptive titles were taken from that and used to manufacture these fake characters. We go into a great deal of information. The Kuku Tuntum originally was a 3 CD set, and then we placed the 3 CD set as MP3 files on our website. They're free downloads, people can still download that now. The book itself is a transcript of that entire 3 CD set, or the MP3 files. So when people listen to, they can listen to the Kuku Tuntum, and then they can read the book. Plus there are additional references from the Medutu, the hieroglyphics from ancient Kemet, and various other sources inside the text that support the information with regard to the transcript. We have had the experience, and over the years, we published the Kuku Tuntum in 13,002, the Gregorian calendar of 2002. When people first listen to the Kuku Tuntum, it transforms their knowledge of what their identity is, what their function in the world is, their relationship to the Great Mother and the Great Father, the Supreme Being, the forces in nature, the ancestresses and ancestors, the various aspects of nature. Our relationship as Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people to one another, the balance of male and female, as well as these fake religions, these pseudo-religions, whether it's the so-called esoteric forms or the exoteric forms, whether it's Sufism, Kabbalism, metaphysics, which is all nonsense, perversions of fragments of our culture and represented to us, or represented to us as sacred, secret mysteries. That's pure nonsense. It's foolishness, just like the so-called exoteric forms of these practices. So we go into detail about that, but when people have studied the Kuku Tuntum, it has transformed their focus, it has realigned them with who they are, what their function in the world is. It's given them a different, a clear focus. Many people have told us just by listening to the Kuku Tuntum, the ancestral jurisdiction, reading the text, they have stopped smoking marijuana, stopped drinking, stopped smoking cigarettes, stopped doing drugs and things like that. They have transformed their diet, transformed their relationships with their significant others and people in the community, because they have a totally different focus. Now we also have on our website, not only do we have the publications, but we also have our services. Our services include Akuma Sa, which is substance abuse abstinence in the Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit community, Akuma Dine, which addresses domestic abuse, and Akuma Tra, which deals with trauma, recovery, alignment. And through the practice of ancestral religion, of Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit ancestral religion, which is the inheritance of all Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit African or black people, we can overcome these various obstacles to our aspirations. We can overcome substance abuse, addictions. We can overcome the negative effects of domestic violence, including sexual assault and various other forms of domestic violence, so we won't get trapped and continuously fall into these cycles of domestic abuse and accepting domestic abuse, as well as the negative individuals and spiritual entities that impact our decision-making process when we keep finding ourselves caught in these cycles. The same thing with regard to trauma, intergenerational trauma, transcarnational trauma. So we have a means by which we can, address that. Our services, which you will find on the website as well, are also free. We also have, when we do presentations in different cities, whether we've been in for example, we've been in DC, Philadelphia, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, Illinois, Michigan, Louisiana, a number of different places. Well, the service, when we do presentations, when we do workshops, typically 2 to 3 hour workshops, trainings, whatever we do, we always stipulate that, number one, we don't charge a speaker's fee for coming out to do presentations. Number two, we do not allow organizers to charge our people, the community, to come out to hear their own ancestrally inherited wisdom. So these are services that we have on the website. Those are free, just like the free PDFs. And part of the services, for example, again, with the Kuku Tuntum, and people study that, then some people want to access those services because just reading the text, listening to the information, it transforms their outlook. People who are NOKWAREFO, upholders of truth, dispensers of truth, they need to read the Kuku Tuntum before they begin to distribute it, so they understand the effects that it can have, the ramifications, the positive ramifications it can have upon the, the prospective consumer or purchaser of the work. The next text that we publish, Ubin Shang, the Ancestral Summons. Ubin Shang deals with the nature and function of the ritual practices of Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit ancestral religion, inclusive of libation, shrine consultation, ancestral shrines, ancestral and deity worship, ancestral and deity possession, talismans, amulets, ritual song, ritual dance, ritual prayer, oracular divination, all of the various ritual practices that we engage in as Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people. We go into detail about their nature, functionality, and validity. We do not engage in ritual practices that are purely symbolic. If they were just symbolic without substance, we do not engage in practices like that. That is the nature of pseudo-religion, like the whites and their offspring practice. They're perverse pseudo-religious practices. When we engage in ritual practice, we are always receiving, processing, and transmitting energy in a measurable fashion for a specific purpose. If that process is not going on, then we do not engage in the ritual practice. So we go into detail about the nature and the functionality of our ritual practices in the Ubin Shang. So people who are, again, distributing that work, they need to understand the ramifications of that work and what effect it will have on the community and the value of it to the community. People are beginning to return to their ancestral religious traditions. Our people are beginning to recognize that Jesus and Moses and Muhammad and Abraham and all these characters, Buddha and Brahman, never existed. They're rejecting that nonsense, but they've also come in contact with people who are teaching purportedly authentic ancestral religion or African traditional religion. And they come in contact with people who are giving misinformation, so-called priests, so-called priestesses, so-called elders, so-called elderesses. They're misinforming people, taking advantage of people, taking money from people, all kinds of nonsense. So we give accurate information about our ritual practices and how we can begin to re-establish those practices within our individual lives and with those who are connected to us right from where we are. So that's the next text. We also have our Nkwamua Whole Life Journal. Nkwamua Whole Life Journal is a journal that we publish. It's a very introductory. It doesn't deal with the ancestral religion per se. We talk about melanin, we talk about natural health, natural foods, we talk about true historical information, we talk about the origins of culture, a number of different things in a fashion and ancestral values that anybody in our community can embrace. In the field of behavioral health and human services, we had used this, and we continue to use this publication for people who are working, they're social workers, psychologists, therapists, teachers, people who have after-school programs or various kinds of day programs, or whatever it is, when they're interacting with people in the community in some capacity. It's a way to introduce culture, physical soundness and spiritual soundness from the center of culture. That's the basis of the journal. They can introduce culture for a whole life perspective to help people embrace wellness from a whole life perspective. So it's in 6 sections, and it has basic information in various topics, various subject matter based on our ancestral values and a number of different valuable sections, a number of different things. In fact, one thing that we show people, for example, now we can show people the pyramid, the Mer, the step pyramid, and then we showed Jaseru and Imhotep, who was the architect of that pyramid 4,500 years ago. Now, some people would say that that would have absolutely nothing to do with them, but inside of the pyramid, and you can see this, you can download this within the text, you'll find that the numeral system that we use today is found in that pyramid 4,500 years ago. That means that our people, of course, created the numeral system. In school, children learn that it's the Arabic or Hindi numeral system or Hindu numeral system. In reality, we created that system. So every time they write numbers from that point on, whenever we've shown this to children, every time they write numbers from that point on, they recognize numbers and therefore mathematics, calculations, that subject matter to be an inheritance directly from their ancestresses and ancestors, their great-great-great-grandparents, directly to them. So they take ownership of knowledge. Now they're vested in knowledge. They want to learn about their ancestral inheritance. We've used that basic demonstration, a 5-minute demonstration where we show the pictures, give them the basic information with children as young as 5 years old, all the way up through people who are adults, various income levels, various socioeconomic levels, and they have the same reaction. People who've never been introduced to culture at all. It changes their entire focus. We have information in there about natural health, information about melanin, the chemical that makes us black. Those things always transform the thinking of our people and open our people up. And that kind of information, the distributor, the prospective distributor, needs to understand the value of that kind of information and what it can do to help transform the minds of our people. We also have Afuraitkaitnit, the origin of the term Africa. We just released this publication a few weeks ago. So we go into detail. We were the first, and we are the first, to publish the actual etymological origin of the term Africa, the proper, true etymological origin. You have the United States, or United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organizations breakdown of about 7 possibilities of the origin of the term Africa. And they use Latin, they use Greek origins, Sanskrit, Phoenician, Arabic, a number of different languages, from the Indo-European language family, and they're all, of course, inaccurate. So we go into detail, and we show that those various etymological, pseudo-etymological origins, why they're inaccurate, and then we go into detail to show that Afuraitkaitnit is the origin of the term. We show it in the Medutu, in the hieroglyphics of ancient Kemet. We also go into the misinformation that some of our people have been parroting from the whites and their offspring. For example, saying Scipio Africanus, his name is the origin of the name Africa. That is totally inaccurate. So we break down the origin of Publius Cornelius Scipio, who later took on the name Africanus after he invaded North Afuraitkai. We show the actual origin of the term. So we have to dispel misinformation, not only coming from the spirits of disorder, the whites and their offspring, but those in our own community who simply repeat the misinformation from the whites and their offspring and continue to misinform our people. That has great ramifications for not just literature, etymology, and linguistics and so forth, but it goes directly to our identity. Who are we in relation to the creator and creatress of the universe, Ra and Ra'et, their relationship to the Supreme Being, Amen and Amenet, who's called by various names in various Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit cultures. What is our relationship to one another as children of Ra and Ra'et and so forth. So it directly ties to our identity, what our function in creation is, just like every cell in your body has a specific function to execute within the organ or organ systems of which it is a part. And when that cell executes its proper functions, it's supporting the organ or organ system, but it's supporting the whole body at the same time. Each Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit person is a cell within the great divine body of the Supreme Being. We are the only naturally occurring human cells, the naturally formed human cells within the great divine body of the Supreme Being, and we have a specific function within the great organs of the Supreme Being. So that function is our identity. You need to know your identity first and how you relate to other naturally created entities in the world: plant life, animal life, mineral life, Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, human life, as well as our ancestresses and ancestors and the forces in nature, the abosom, the orisha, the vodou, and so forth. So it all begins with a proper notions of identity. So we go into that in that book. We also have the Okra complex, the soul of Akanfo. In that text, we go into detail about that whole notion of function. The soul, which in our Akan culture is called the Okra, which is male, the Okrawa, which is female, is the same as the Ka and the Kaed in ancient Kemet, the Ori, Inu in the Yoruba tradition, the Selido in the Vodun tradition. So the soul is your divine consciousness. It's that force in the head region that's always pulling you in the direction of divine order. It is a deity. It's your own personal abosom, your own personal orisha, your own personal vodou, your own personal ntoro or ntorot, misnomer neter or netert. It's a divinity that was assigned to you by the Supreme Being to guide you throughout your life. Spirituality is about aligning with that divinity within, because that divinity is a messenger of the Supreme Being that dwells within you. It is your soul, it is your Ka, your Kaet, your Okra, your Okrawa. So we go into detail about the nature and the function of the Okra, the Okrawa, within the Afurakani or Afuraitkaitnit individual, its relationship to the ancestresses and ancestors, the Nananum and Samanfo, to the Abosom, to the forces in nature, and our function in creation. Encoded within your Kra, the specific function you came into the world to execute, and how to align with that function, and how to realign with that function when you get off track. So that is a very important text, and of course, again, NOKWAREFO distributors need to understand the ramifications of that and how it answers the various many questions that people have about the nature of their being, why they're here, what their function is. When they get off track, how do they get back on track spiritually? People have those questions, and that book goes into detail, in great detail, on all those various questions. We also have just recently published again, the Maranechi, Divine Law and Divine Hate. So the terms Maranechi in the tree language, the same as in ancient Kemet, Ma'a-nechi in Kemet, or Ma'a-henachi in Akan is Mara-nechi, divine law and divine hate. In Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit culture, African ancestral culture, the words law and love are the same word. So to be in quote-unquote love with an individual or entity, that means you're in law with respect to your interaction with that individual or entity. So that is the expansive pole of divine order, divine law, which is the same as love. The contractive pole of divine order is hate. Hate is to reject, to repel. We show the etymology of the word hate, which is traced back not to Indo-European languages, but all the way back to ancient Kemet, the ancient civilization of black civilization called Egypt today, misnomer Egypt today. Ancient Kemet and Khanit, ancient Nubia, is found in our languages. Divine order is composed of the expansive and contractive poles, divine law or love and divine hate. There are deities of divine law. The divinity Ma'at is the female force of divine law and balance that regulates law and balance in your body, in your spirit, in the revolution of the planets, the stars, and so forth. That force in creation. The male force of law and balance is Ma'a. So there's Ma'a and Ma'at. They comprise the expansive pole of divine order, which is law. The contractive pole of divine order is divine hate. And the deities that govern that pole are Heru Behudet and Sechima, or Sekhmet in ancient Kemet. In Akan, they're called Benna and Abena. In the Yoruba tradition, they're called Ogun and Iyami Abeni. These are the male and female forces of divine hate. Hate is the immune system in creation. Just like you have an immune system in your body, and lymphatic system in your body that destroys cancerous cells that would otherwise disrupt the body, proliferate, and destroy the whole body. You have an immune system that attacks those cells, isolates them, destroys them, and expels them from the body in order to maintain the integrity of your organism. The great divine body of the Supreme Being has a force, a divine immune system, which is regulated by the forces Heru Behudet and Sechima, or Benna and Abena. These are the forces, male and female, of divine hate. So we go into detail about that because divine order is comprised of that. Our culture, Amamre, is the divine acceptance or love or law of order, and the divine rejection or hate of disorder. If you have a culture, a way of life, that means you function in a specific manner. There are things that you accept and things that you reject. Just like your digestive system has its own culture, there are certain things you can take into your system, and certain things that if you take in, your body will reject them because otherwise it will cause disorder within the body. That's culture. That's the way you operate, your way of life. Amambre, bere means way or manner in Akan culture. Amai means the nation. So amambre means the way or manner of the nation. It is the way we operate. That's the term for culture. So Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit ancestral culture is the acceptance or love or law of order and the rejection or hatred of disorder. When you understand divine order, there are certain things that are acceptable and certain things that operate outside of the parameters of what is acceptable. So those things that go outside of those parameters are destroyed by the divine immunity within creation. So we go into detail about divine law and love and divine hate, which are the two poles of divine order. If we don't understand that, we continue to be self-destructive. We will ingest or accept individuals, entities, and cultures from the whites and their offspring. The whites and their offspring themselves, who are spirits of disorder, we will continuously and foolishly accept them, their culture, and their fake religions and try to ingest that poison and wonder why we're self-destructive and we're still living under the control socially and politically and economically of the whites and their offspring. So that has major ramifications about the way people perceive themselves. And when you get the text, study the text, when our people get that information within them, it stimulates their own ancestral memory, their own ancestral consciousness. It stimulates their kra, their krawa, and it transforms the way they move forward in life from that point on. It changes our behavior, it changes our focus. So that's why that's very important. And our distributors need to know that. And finally, we have Oberima, Afurakani manhood. So, Afurakani manhood, we have 7 principal values of manhood that are governed by the 7 abosom or divinities, forces in nature that regulate the solar, lunar, and planetary bodies that govern the 7-day week. So we have a 7-day week in our Khan culture. Of course, we have the 7-day week. The 7-day week that is used in European cultures is derived from the ancient 7-day week that Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people recognized and established their lives around, regulated their activities around. The solar, lunar, and planetary bodies that regulate each one of the 7 days are connected to divinities, forces in nature that animate these different solar, lunar, and planetary bodies. And each day carries the energy of that particular force in nature, or those forces in nature. So we have 7 principal values of manhood that are connected to those 7 forces in nature that govern all natural cycles in our lives and upon the Earth Mother. So every single day, the Afurakani male has an opportunity to align with the force that governs the solar, lunar, or planetary body that regulates that day, and the kinds of activities that are regulated not only within their physical body, but in their spirit, body, and their activities. So we go into detail about that. Of course, we have, with that book, as well as all of the books, we don't only have the text, we also have videos where we go in detail and dissect the information in the book. Most of the videos are about, on average, about 2 hours each. So we have a, in fact, we have a 2-hour, it's a two-part video presentation on Odwirafo Afurakani manhood. So when people purchase the book, they can study the book, but then they can look at the video and get even more information on the book. When they read the Madanechi, they can read the book, but they can go to the video. If they read the Uben Shame, then they can go. We have, in fact, a 2-part series on the Uben Shame because there's a great deal of information there. When they read the Okra Complex, 2.5-hour video dealing with that. So each one of the books has a specific video associated with it, an instructional video, but then we also have the other 40-plus videos we have. They touch on those subjects as well in the context of the other information that we're dealing with. So now you have information that transforms the lives of our people. We have people who, again, they reject negative behaviors, negative behavioral patterns once they embrace truthful information. They reconnect with their ancestresses and ancestors and so forth. So this is why, beyond just the regular technical aspects of distribution, when you read the NOKWAREFO distributor information document, of course we talk about the fact that, you know, we offer the wholesale price 30% off, and then you sell them at retail, the 10-book you know, order minimum, and we share the shipping costs and so forth. And by the way, the retail prices are standard, so we don't want people to go over the retail price. We make them as inexpensive as possible. The highest price is $11. They range from $8 to $11. So the PDFs are free, but then even the softcover books, the prices are very reasonable. There's a great deal of information out here that, you know, people are misinforming our people with it. There are people producing videos, writing books, releasing articles full of misinformation. They're promoting themselves as experts, promoting themselves as linguists, PhDs, priests, priestesses, elders, elderesses, just many different titles, masters, master teachers, nonsense like that, but they are misinforming our people on various subjects. So, and they're charging people a great deal of money very often to not only purchase their products, but also attend their lectures or their workshops and all that nonsense. We have a different approach. So not only do we have the free PDFs, but then the softcover versions of the text, we made them at specific prices for a specific reason. So when you do become a NOKWAREFO, a distributor, of course you would maintain those specific prices. But so not only in the document do we deal with the technical aspects of being a distributor, NOKWAREFO, but through anidaho and NOKWARE, through awareness and through truth, studying the information, reading the books, and then, you know, checking out the videos, then you become NOKWAREFO. You're someone who can uphold truth and dispense truth. So that's the second component, which is just as important as becoming empowered economically. Of course, we don't, you know, we don't exchange money in an intelligent fashion in our communities. Money comes in when we work and, you know, we receive salaries and so forth, and then we spend the money right back very often with the white community without, you know, the money turning over within our community a number of times. Of course, people spend money on things that are self-destructive, alcohol, cigarettes, all kinds of things. But that, you know, we have to change the mindset of our people. We have to help our people rediscover who they are, and they realign with their natural mindset. We don't have to force anything into their mind. We have to just give them the opportunity to open their mind, and that's it. We don't have to force the publications on people. All we have to do is let the people know that the publications exist, and once they know they exist, then the images of the publications alone stimulates an ancestral memory. The images of the publications alone, when they see the images of the people of ancient Kemet or other images within the text, their ancestresses and ancestors push them to want to see what's in the text. You could simply be on the train, you could be at work, you could be in the house, you could be around other people and just have the book open. When people see the text, they will be drawn to it. Their nsamanfo, their ancestresses and ancestors have been pushing them toward that kind of information anyway. They put them in the position to be around you when you had the book in the first place, so that it could stimulate their cry and realign the person. So all we have to do is let the people know that information exists, and the information draws the people on its own. We've had people to listen to our work or study our work, and that in and of itself, even before they access the service like the substance abuse abstinence or domestic violence neutralization, domestic abuse neutralization, or trauma recovery alignment, before they even dealt with that, just embracing the information in and of itself was enough for them to stimulate a reconnection or rekindle a reconnection with their ancestresses and ancestors, and begin to feel the energy of their nsamanfo moving through them. Literally, they could feel it physically. So this is part of the process. This is why we have the technical aspect of being a distributor, but we also deal with anidaho and nokware, awareness and truth. Once you go through that process, you study the works. You don't have to memorize the information. Again, it's a lot of information, but just reading through the PDFs at least one time, and then of course looking at the videos, just to give yourself some background and some familiarity, so when people, when you distribute the work, you have understanding of its value to our people. So once you deal with that, then you are truly NOKWAREFO, somebody who upholds the dispenser's truth, and you're a distributor at that point. You can look on the website, the Nhoma page of the website. Again, when you look in the document, you'll see that when you order on the wholesale aspect, you will pick whatever books you want. Just send us an email, list which books you want, the quantity, give us the amount, add up the amount. We have the prices there. We have the wholesale prices there. You just add up the amount, add the shipping costs, and then when you make the payment, you will make the payment via the donation button on the Nhoma website, as opposed to the regular adding to your cart button. Because if you did that, then of course you would be charged automatically the regular retail price and the regular shipping price. So once you add up the amounts, including the shipping, all you have to do is just send us the payment via the donation button as you're sending us the request for the specific books that you require and the amount. And within, we ship USPS, United States Postal Service, priority, so it's 2 to 3 days. So all you have to do is just send us the request, send us the payment, and then we send it out within 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 business days, you will receive your package. If you have any questions, of course, you can always hit us up on the email address that's in the NOKWAREFO distributor information document. You can also connect with us on our network, Afuraitkaitnit.ning.com. That is a social network, a private social network that we have. There are forums, videos, articles, blogs, and so forth, dealing with all the publications that we deal with on the website, but distributors as well. NOKWAREFO, you can also go on that site and communicate with one another. We always publish everything that's coming up on that website, as well as our Facebook page, so you're always updated about the newest publications that are released, when we're going to be doing presentations and workshops, what cities we will be in, and so forth, so you can connect with us there as well. So, merase for your interest in becoming NOKWAREFO, a distributor of information for our Nhoma, our publications for the community. You'll be your own independent, self-made entrepreneur. You'll be dispensing information that's beneficial for all aspects of our community. At the same time, you will empower yourself economically, and some people will be able to be self-employed 100% just by distributing the work. You'll also indirectly impact the entrepreneurial activity of other people in the community. When they see that you're doing something entrepreneurial and is servicing the community in a positive way, and you're also benefiting economically because you'll be independent economically, then that will stimulate them to reconnect with their own ancestral consciousness and start tapping into what is their function in the world and how can they execute that function and be entrepreneurial as well. So you will stimulate that. Just like a tuning fork, if you make one oscillate and put another one near it, it begins to oscillate as well. Once you begin to oscillate or vibrate on an entrepreneurial vibration that's positive, then you're stimulating other people to do the same thing. They may not sell the Nhoma like you are, sell our products like you are. They may do something else, or maybe they will. Either way, they will be stimulated. So that's an indirect benefit of you engaging in that kind of entrepreneurial endeavor. You will stimulate others to do the same thing. Of course, that's a positive for the community at large, because children as well as adults see people engaged in positive economic activity that's strengthening the minds of our people, helping our people to clean themselves up, realign themselves, recalibrate themselves spiritually and so forth. And that's just a benefit all the way around. So again, if you need to contact us, hit us up on our email address akwamamine@odwirafo.com. Hit us up on odwirafo.com, as well as the Afuraitkaitnit.com website. And we look forward to working with you to distribute this information and empower the Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, or mine, the Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit community. Medase.